PLO Professor here. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. If you could hit the like and subscribe, it definitely helps the channel out. In this video, you're going to see how table selection is very important. Skill level or the softer play ends up being on PLO4. And what some players have a difficult time doing is dropping down in stakes when the game's softer. So that PLO4 game at the Hollywood is a very soft game. It's a game that you can apply basic principles of pot limit Omaha, print money playing that game because they have enough influx of bad players who constantly come in and they don't know what they're doing. And there are plenty of times where even on the 2-2 game, people would have $3, $4, or $5,000, myself included. So you're just gonna see a couple of hand analysis here. So this is a super fun one that I remember. We are on the PLO 5 table, and I look down at ace 8 8 6 10 double suited. So we're double suited with an ace high diamond and an 8 high club, and we have lots of middling cards. So this is a hand that can get you in a lot of trouble. It's also a hand that plays really well multi-way. It's $40 pre-flop, four-way action, and the board is deuce 9 8 complete rainbow. So we flop middle set with the gut shot straight draw, backdoor diamonds here. So this is a hand we're definitely going to bet for some value. So we bet about 3/4 pot. It is a draw heavy board with a lot of wraps out there. We get one quick call behind us. We get one player who decides to fold, and then Jimmy here over in the corner. Oh my God, he comes out from the right and he just check jams. So he check pots it, which would be 720, but he only has 715 in chips. And so I'm just sitting there like, wow, what is he check jamming? This board is completely like dry. He either has a set of nines or he has wraps. So I ask him if he can count his chips. I'm paying attention to his hands to see if I see any excitement or anything like that. And honestly, I don't get any tells off of him. He seems like he's okay with the gamble and he's okay with the fold. So I guess that means he's either got a wrap or a set of nines. And I'm like, shit. And I'm like, you know what? Even if he does have a set of nines, I still have back doors and I still have a gut shot. So f it, let's just gamble. So I go ahead and put it in. And then the guy behind me goes ahead and puts it in. And I'm like, and I even say to the guy to my right, I'm like, hey, a set of nines is good if you got it. And these guys are like, hey, do you want to run it twice? And I'm like, no, we're going to rip it. We're going to run it once, especially multi-way. And we get 5 cards. I mean, if you're check jamming on me and you have a wrap, I don't want to give you 2 chances to suck out on me. If you suck out on me once, congratulations, sir. You earned it. Otherwise, I hope you get stuck when you check jam. But, you know, I don't mind the play. I think it's cool. We got all the money in the pot. And I'm like, it's up to the card gods now. The turn to ace of spades, that's actually a really good card for me. And the 3 of hearts. Those are 2 pretty good brick cards unless somebody wakes up with a 4 or 5 and I say, sir, your set of nines is good. And he's like, I don't have a set of nines. And I'm like, all right, well, show what you're ripping it with. And the guy turns over a pair of 3s. And I turn over a set of 8s. And we are going to end up scooping this one. So we are on to PLO 4, and we look down at a hand, 5, 7, 10 jack. Not exactly a great hand, but again, when you feel like you're playing against a little bit of softer opponents, you can play hands that aren't as good as long as you can navigate the field. So we're going 5 ways to the flop for 25 bucks. And the board is absolutely my gen board. It's 8, 6, 9. So we flop the nuts with the 7, 10, and we have the nut redraw with the jack. So I bet 35. I want to bet really small to get as many people to come in. And it also might look like I'm drawing to clubs or something to that effect. So if somebody does have a hand like a set of nines or a set of eights, or maybe even like 5, 7 for a straight, they might end up re-raising here. But instead I get a bunch of callers, which I'm perfectly okay with. And we're going to go ahead and see the turn. And the turn is a good brick, a 3 of diamonds. So with that, I decide to step it up a little bit. I go ahead and I bet 165. Again, I know the pot's bigger than that, but I am trying to attract anybody who has a big stack to go all in. I got one person who is all in, and everybody else ends up folding. And so we're going to go Heads up, gentleman asks if I want to run it once or twice. I'm going to tell him I only want to run it once and just to rip it. Uh, so yeah, we're just gonna have to fade whatever he has. He ends up having a 5-7 for a straight, but he does not have a 10 to go with it. When the river comes a jack, our nuts are gonna hold. So going down to PLO 4 again, you play hands that are a little bit worse, but sometimes you get gens and you're gonna get paid off on it with worse, softer play. So play smart, everyone. So here's another example of a hand where soft play pays off and you're just absolutely amazed because I'm in the button. I decide to make it 15 pre-flop. We go 6 ways to the flop. And when I'm in on the button with a strong hand like this, queen, queen, ace, nine with a suited diamond, I feel pretty confident. Well, the board comes 4-6-6. And this is when, I'm not going to bet this because it's multi-way action, but I'll go ahead and see a free turn. And oh my God, the turn comes a queen. Now it checks to the lady across from me and she bets $50. And this is what I'm talking about when I say that in the PLO 4 streets here on the Hard Rock, the play here is way easier on PLO 4 than it is PLO 5. So I go ahead and call, and it doesn't ring off any alarm bells for this lady that all of a sudden now I'm calling. Now I could have done this with maybe like aces or kings, and she thinks she's going to milk me. So she goes ahead and bets $75, which is pretty reasonable. But I'm not your average player. She thinks she was milking me when in fact I was just milking her. So I pot it. It's effective to put her all in, like an additional $250, $300 to her. And she goes in the tank for a little bit, and she just does not believe me whatsoever. She thinks I'm just some young kid running into town, just going to run her over, and she's not going to fold 3 6s, is she? Nope, she's going to call and pay me off, and I turn over queen's full. Now, here's a very interesting hand when it comes to knowing thy table and thy table dynamics. We look down at 10-5-4-4, not a very good hand. And we flop middle set, deuce 4-7 with 2 spades. We're fortunate enough to flop middle set here. And currently there's a bet for $40 and a call for $40. And we've got a player to my right calls for $40. And then I look down and, with second set, I feel like the $40 bet on the flop was some kind of straight draw. So I'm going to go ahead and call $40. We're in position. We don't need to blow up the pot against all these players. And we really want to see what kind of turns come out and what the action is. And the turn's a 9 of spades. So front door flush gets there. And lo and behold, something happens. It goes check. Goes check again. People going deep into the tank, like really debating on what to do. And I start getting the idea that my set of fours is probably good. I'm thinking what somebody bet on the flop was probably 3-5-6, 5-6-8, maybe 7-4, ace, something to that effect. But right now I get the suspicion that my set of fours is good because it's checked to me. So I just fire out $125. Now I'm thinking I can get some folds here, but instead, okay, I get one caller. I'm like, I don't think he's calling with spades. Or at least I didn't think that person was calling with spades. I thought that was the initial person who had a wrap draw. That's basically what I was putting him on. Maybe he's really stubborn. Maybe he's got a set of deuces. Maybe he has sevens and fours. I could see a set of deuces betting. I could see sevens and fours betting. Um, but I'm a little concerned, but not too concerned. And now I've got another caller. Okay, well, what are these people calling on? Again, this is knowing your table and knowing your table dynamics. I felt like my set of fours was good, even though it was effective third set and effective there's any flush that beats me, but yet I'm getting calls when I think my set of fours is good. And lo and behold, the guy to my right, he says, well, what the hell? Let's join the party. So now we're going quite literally 4 ways to the river. And I'm going, oh my. And the river puts out a 6 of spades. Now, when the river comes out a 6 of spades, I'll tell you what, I'm more concerned about the straight than I am the spades. So at this point, I'm deciphering if I need to turn my hand into a bluff. And, I don't think I need to because I still beat a set of deuces. And if somebody did have 5-6, I still beat them. I check, I say, don't beat much. All I've got is a set. No one's turning over their cards, which usually means when you announce a set, you're good. I turn over a set of fours. And all of a sudden, everybody starts to muck. And people are just in amazement. After this hand, I ended up having one or two haters, but I also added one or two subscribers because I looked like magic as she was just pushing me the pot here. It was absolutely just knowing your spot and where you're at in the hand and maximizing your profit for it. That could be the difference between a winning session and a losing session.
So I ended up having a really long session here at Hollywood Hard Rock. And we ended up being in for $5,500 after all that was said and done, playing all day and cashing out 6,600. So we ended up netting a profit about 1,100 bucks. I ended up losing somewhere around $1,500 in a matter of like 4 hands playing heads up. And what's really funny is I have a tremendous amount of experience playing heads up from playing heads up online. So, whatever, that happens. But yeah, the action's good here. It's funny because the 225 PLO, there are worse players there playing PLO 4 than PLO 5. When we talked to a couple of the local guys, they said PLO 4 here used to be absolutely amazing. PLO 5 took over and basically dried up a lot of the fish. So, when I was playing the PLO 5 table, it was pretty tight. You might have had one loose player, and that was about it. But for the most part, it played pretty tight, excessively tight. Every game here at the Seminole Hard Rock, every single one of them is a rock game for all PLO. So, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. So we're just gonna play patient today. There's a $200 mixed quad stack turbo style. So you start off with 80,000, $200 buy-in, and it's round by round hold'em and PLO. And Wayne and I are both going to fire that because honestly, I need some practice in the hold'em and hold'em. And two, that's going to be super juicy for PLO because there's going to be a lot of hold'em players who are just going to be like, it's only 200 bucks and we're going to fire at a PLO. We'll learn how to play that game. So somebody like myself and Wayne should have a huge advantage. But yeah, pretty good session overall. Won $1,100 the first day. There was obviously the potential to win 4 or 5 grand. So we're gonna see if we can run it up. So play smart, everybody. Run like a god.